Welcome back to www.happynumbers.org. The lesson today is finding a percent of a number. Really important skill, finding a percent of a number. It's used a lot in discounts. You'll go to a store and you're going to buy something and it'll be 30% off, and you'll want to know what is 30% of that number. So this is an important skill. So the problem, find 20% of 45. So what number is 20% of 45? By the way, in mathematics, the word of always means multiplication. Multiplication. So if I'm trying 25% of 45, I am going to multiply 20% times 45. Well, here's the steps. There are two ways of doing it. We'll put number one over here. The first step here is you change percent to fraction. Okay, 20%, change it to a fraction, that's 20 over 100, because this means denominator 100. Cross that out, and now we can reduce. So 1/5. 20% is 1/5. So you change the fraction, you change the percent to a fraction, and then you multiply the fraction times the number, because the problem says 20% of, and of means multiplication. Let me make a better 5 here. So we're going to multiply 1/5 times 45, or 45 over 1. Well, 5 goes into 5 one time, 5 goes into 45 9 times, and then we multiply. 1 times 9 is 9, 1 times 1 is 1, and so our answer is 9. So 20% of 45 is 9. Now the other way you can do it is you can change the percent to a decimal. Well, 20%, we know if we're going from percent to decimal, we go this way 2 decimal places, so it's 0.20. And we know we can drop this 0 because we don't need it. So we've changed the percent to a decimal, and we multiply times 45. So this is multiplication of decimal. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 4 is 8, and 1 is 9. I have 1 decimal place in my answer, so I put it there. And actually, since my answer is a whole number, I don't need it. So the answer is 9. So 2 different ways of doing the problem. One is to change the percent to a fraction and then multiply the fraction times the number. The other is to change the percent to a decimal and multiply the decimal times the number. So I'm going to put some problems up for you. This is a fairly simple skill, but it's an important skill. I'm going to put a problem up for you, and I'm going to ask you to solve it both ways. Both ways. So let's say, here's the problem. I'll put the problem up here. Let's say, what is 25% of 84? All right, so put your DVD on hold, work this problem, and then we'll take a look at the answer. Okay, well, let's start here. We're going to change the percent to a fraction. Well, 25% is 25 over 100. And I know that reduces to 1/4. And then I'm going to multiply 1/4 times my number, 84 over 1. And I can cancel. 4 goes into 4 one time. 4 goes into 84 21 times. because 4 goes into 8 twice, 4 goes into 4 once, so 21. I multiply, 1 times 21 is 21, 1 times 1 is 1, so 21 is the answer that I got. Now, let's solve it this method. Change the percent to a decimal. Well, 25%, if I put it in decimal form, I know if I'm going from percent, the P in the alphabet, to the D in the decimal, I go this way 2 places, so it'll be 1, 2. So 25% would be 25 hundredths. Same here, 25 hundredths, 25 hundredths in decimal form, and I multiply that times 84. 5 times 4 is 20, and I'm going to carry 2. 5 times 8 is 40, and the 2 that I carry is 42. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. Now I'm going to add 0, 10. 10 and 1 is 11. Carry the 1. 1 and 1 is 2. Go my decimal places, 1, 2. So I have 2 decimal places, so the decimal goes there. But since this is a whole number, I don't need the decimal there. So I wind up with my answer as 21. I don't know if you could see that. It may have run out on the screen. But the answer is 21, same as this. So either method that I use, I'll have to try and write a little smaller so that I don't run out of the screen. So let me give you another one here. Let's say, put the problem up here. 40% of 70. 40% of 70. All right, we'll put your video or DVD on pause, work these problems, do it this way, and then turn it back on and we'll take a look at it. All right, let's see how you did. Well, 40% in fraction form is 40 over 100. And we can cross out those and reduce this, and we have 2/5 times 70 over 1. Now we can cancel. We do our canceling. 5 goes into 5 one time. 5 goes into 70 14 times. Now we multiply. 2 times 14 is 28 over 1, which is 28. So 40% of 70 is 28. Now let's do it with our multiplication. We're going to change 40% to a decimal, so we know we go 2 places. So it is 70 times 40. By the way, let me show you a trick in multiplication here. When you have a 0 at the end, I could go 0 times 0 is 0, 0 times 7 is 7, and 4 times that is that, and that'll be 28. But that just gets yucky. Here's a simple way. If the 0 is at the end, I can just put the 0 out there and just put 0, just like that. I don't have to go through it. And then I do the regular multiplication. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 7 is 28. 2 decimal places, 2 decimal places. Since it's a whole number, I don't have to put the decimal. And so my answer is 28. Excellent. We'll do one more problem. Let's take 15% of, let's try 15% of 80. Okay, so put your video on pause, work the problem, and then turn it back on again. Okay, so 15%, we're going to make it a decimal. So we know that's 15 over 100. That means denominator 100. And we're going to cancel, reduce to lowest name. 5 will go into 15 3 times, and 5 will go into 100 20 times. So I have 3/20ths, and I'm going to now multiply that by 80. So 3/20ths times 80 over 1, and we can cancel here. 20 goes into 20 one time, 20 goes into 80 4 times, because 4 times 20 is 80. Now I multiply, 3 times 4 is 12 over 1, which gives us 12. Okay, now let's see it here. 15%, I'm going to make it a decimal, so I know I move it 2 places to the left. 15% times 80. Well, I have a 0 at the end here, so I can just put the 8 there in the 0 like that. Just bring the 0 down and now multiply. 8 times 5 is 40, carry the 4. 8 times 1 is 8, and 8 plus the 4 I carried is 12. Count my decimal places, 1, 2, come over 1, 2. Since it's a whole number, I don't put a decimal, so the answer is 12. So you can see either method that I use, I can use, I can find the percent of a number by changing the percent to a fraction and then multiplying by the number, or changing the percent to a decimal and multiplying by the number. You'll find out as you work problems in the real world that depending on the problem, one method will be simpler than the other. Thank you very much for your attention, and hope to see you next time.